Now, as we know, the central bank, the mainstream media, the elites, they have made their move. What was their move? They were trying to bring down the economic system. And they've tried this before, and we mentioned this many times before, where as Trump came into his presidency, they were going to raise the rates. If the Fed raised the rates at that time, there would be a certain time where they would hit the sweet spot, the economy would come down, and the Fed would drop the rates. We also had Trump and the Patriots allow the rates to freeze, and then Trump continually attacked the Fed and had the Fed reduce the rates. Well, we know the central bankers, and I'm talking about the bad guys in the central bank because there's good guys and bad guys, they weren't happy about this. So the mainstream media, at the end of 2019, as we know, they came out and they tried to push a recession in 2019, saying that the recession was going to happen in 2020. That was their plan from the very beginning, to have the recession in the year of 2020. And now we're in this event where everyone is looking at the stock market. Everyone is watching the entire country shut down. And the mainstream media, they're out there and they're talking about a recession. Now, this is coming out of Morningstar. It says the global economy was rocking on a precipice, and the event pushed it over. We have another story coming out of MarketWatch. Global recession is expected this year, S&P Global. Coming out of Bloomberg, Morgan Stanley, Goldman declare global recession underway. New York Times, markets plunge as a global recession appears almost inevitable. CNN, the global coronavirus recession is beginning. Now, these stories that just came out today or yesterday, they're exactly the same as they were in 2019, where they said all indicators are pointing to a recession. The recession was going to happen in 2020. It's the same exact plan. Now, as Trump was in a press conference, they asked him, do you think we're going into recession? Listen to what he said.
Today, is the U.S. economy heading into a recession?
Well, it may be. We're not thinking in terms of recession. We're thinking in terms of the virus. Once we stop, I think there's a tremendous pent-up demand, both in terms of the stock market and in terms of the economy. And once this goes away, once it goes through and we're done with it, I think you're going to see a tremendous surge.
Now, his answer was maybe, but he said there's a lot of pent-up things that are going to explode after all this is said and done. Now, why is he saying that? Remember, we are in a central bank system. We needed to get out of a central bank system. Now, we had two ways of doing this. We could have had a complete crash, a reset, where the system came down, it was covered up by an event, maybe a war or something else, and everyone was struggling. There was nothing because everything just hit rock bottom. Now, if the central bank and the elites were in charge, that's what would have happened. We would have had a Mad Max situation. It would have been blamed maybe on a war, and everything would have froze up. Trump and the Patriots, they needed a way to make it easier for businesses, companies, and people when we transitioned. They didn't want people to suffer. Now, this is the bump in the road. This is what we've been talking about. And the only way to allow this to happen is to make sure that you can control it as we transition. Remember, this is a big ship that Trump is turning right now. Remember back in the 70s when we went from the gold standard to the petrodollar? Well, there was a recession at that time. We also saw high interest rates because there was a lot of inflation because we came off the gold standard and the value of the dollar decreased. A lot of people couldn't find jobs. And outside of the U.S., it was a lot worse. What we're witnessing right now is the same thing. But Trump and the Patriots, they're using this latest event to their advantage. Remember, we are in a national emergency. What does this allow Trump to do. It gives him incredible power over the country, over the economy, over funding. So, to ease the pain through all of this, what has Trump decided to do? He wanted a stimulus package. Now, if you remember in 2008, 2009, what was that stimulus package? It was $700 billion TARP. We know it was a lot more. I mean, that's what's reported, but we know the Fed, it was in the trillions. Where did that money go? Or I should say currency. Where did that currency go? It went into the banking system. This time around, it's much, much different. Trump, he is asking for $850 billion, almost $1 trillion. Where are these funds going? Are they going into the banking system? No. They're going into Main Street. What do I mean by that? They're going into businesses. The money is going to be sent to the people. Why? Why is Trump doing this? They're trying to figure out the best way to protect the American businesses on Main Street, the American people, so they're not hurt going through this transition. Now, is it possible to protect everyone? No, it isn't. But they're going to try to minimize the pain as much as they possibly can. Now, they're talking about a $1,000 check. Now, $1,000, I don't believe that's going to be enough. And I know that Trump, during his press conference, said, yeah, it might even be more than that. They're also talking about a payroll cut, maybe down to zero. Now, of course, that won't happen right away. So I do believe they might issue funds to the people. They also might have a payroll cut. They also stop the interest payments on student loans, and they're giving other benefits to businesses. All of this is being done for a specific reason. It is allowing his entire team to minimize the pain as we transition. We knew eventually we were going to have to transition. What have we seen done so far? We have seen Trump change all the trade deals as he possibly could during his presidency. He renegotiated the NAFTA into the USMCA. When does that come online? June. You know who just signed it? Canada. So that's going to come online in June. Why do you think Trump is saying there's so much pent-up demand? Because he knows exactly what's going to happen. And if we look at the market right now, remember, we're in a manipulated state right now, still. And Trump, the Patriots, they have the ability to bring the market up if they wanted to. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to reverse everything to make the market an open and free market once again without manipulation. And this is why the banks were ordered not to buy back their stocks anymore, because that was part of the manipulation where they kept the market up. Now, there are other things where we have central banks that are buying stocks in the market. We also have Trump, where he has the tools that were set up before him that controls the market. All of this is going to be undone. And what else do we see happening? We see gas prices, they are coming down. This puts more money back into the people's pocket. Also, when we come off the petrodollar, this is going to be a benefit. So right now, Trump is asking Congress for almost $1 trillion in economic stimulus, $50 billion maybe in payroll tax cut, $250 billion in small business association loans, $58 billion for the airlines, and smattering of many other things. So he's doing this to ease the pain. Now remember, I mentioned this before, we're in a national emergency. What else does this allow Trump to do? It allows Trump to call businesses back to the United States. Recently, China made a threat. And the threat was, listen, you better play nicely or you might not get the medical equipment that you need. Now, does that mean they're not going to supply it? No. But what that does, it wakes all the companies up. It wakes Congress up. It wakes everyone up that was looking at Russia is now looking at China. And they're saying, well, wait a minute. This is not a good situation. We should not have our supply chain in China. Because when these type of situations come up, and this is just one situation, think about all the other situations that they're going to go through. They're going to say, this is not good. What can Trump do under a national emergency? He can order companies to come back to the U.S. or move out of China and change their supply chain. And what do you think he's going to do? Now, is he going to come out and say, I ordered this company? No, I think he's going to have a discussion with them. And it's going to make it look like that these companies decided to do this. What we are watching right now is a transition into a new system. And a big shift is coming. This is why they're preparing the stimulus. This is why he wants to give these funds to the businesses, to the people, because in the next couple of weeks, something big is going to happen where a lot of it is going to shift. And he wants to make sure that a lot of people are protected when we shift. Think about back in the 70s when we came off the gold standard. Was anyone protected at that time? A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people weren't hiring at that time. We were in a recession. The UK had rolling blackouts. There was chaos everywhere. There was war going on. There was a lot of things happening at that time. Today, Trump, the Patriots, they have the ability to soften the blow. And this is exactly what they are doing.